10 life rules I learned living the Japanese way. Have you ever wondered why Japan consistently ranks as one of the happy, healthiest, and most successful countries on Earth? The secret isn't luck, it's a completely different approach to everyday life. I spent 3 years living in Japan, and what I discovered transformed everything. Before that, I was grinding 70-hour weeks, burned out, and getting nowhere. These principles helped me double my productivity while cutting work hours by 30%. Here's what shocked me. The Japanese don't treat these as special wisdom, they're just normal parts of daily life. But when you apply them, they become game-changing. In this video, I'm breaking down the 10 most powerful life rules I learned living the Japanese way. I'll show you how to start small and build momentum, transform your relationship with failure, and discover what makes all the struggle worth it. One principle involves intentionally stopping at 80% when Western culture screams to give 110. Another shows why your biggest failures might be the most valuable parts of your story. And one ancient practice proves that doing less gets you further than grinding harder ever could. By the end of this video, you'll have a blueprint that can restructure your entire approach to life. Let's start with something that sounds simple but is revolutionary. What if I told you that trying to change everything at once is exactly why nothing ever changes? The Japanese have a concept called Kaizen. Most people think it means continuous improvement, but that's missing the point. Kaizen is about making improvement so small your brain doesn't resist it. Small changes slip past your defenses and compound into massive transformations. I watched a 72-year-old man spend 5 minutes every morning organizing his desk. After a year, his productivity doubled. He'd only spent 30 hours total. 30 hours across 365 days created complete transformation. The first rule is this: never try to change your entire life at once. Change one thing by 1% today. But here's where most people miss the boat. The next rule sounds like it would make you less ambitious. It doesn't. It supercharges ambition in a way you'd never expect. What if I told you that you're living in the only moment that will ever exist and you're completely missing it? The Japanese practice something called Ikigai. It means this moment exists only once, and they apply this to everything. Every interaction, every cup of tea. I watched a barista in a tiny Tokyo cafe spend 45 seconds on a single pour. His hands moved like surgery. Zero phone checking. Complete absorption. When he handed it to me, I understood. This wasn't just coffee, it was his entire presence. We spend our lives waiting for big moments while missing the only moment that exists. Right now. The second rule is brutal in its simplicity. Treat this moment like it will never happen again, because it won't. Now, this next one will probably make you uncomfortable, but stick with me because it flips Western thinking on its head. The Japanese have a phrase: the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Westerners hate this. They think it means conform, be average, but it's about understanding that your success is connected to everyone else's. I watched a software team in Tokyo build a product in 3 months that their competitors couldn't build in a year. Nobody took credit. Nobody fought over whose idea it was. They just worked. When it launched, it dominated the market. Your ego wants credit. Your goals need teamwork. They're in direct conflict. The third rule solves this. Focus on making the whole better, and the whole will make you better. But what I'm about to share next will flip how you see failure. The Japanese have a 400-year-old art form that makes broken things more valuable than new ones. The Japanese practice kintsugi. It's the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. The cracks don't hide the damage, they highlight it. They make it beautiful, the broken pieces become more precious than the original. I watched a master craftsman take a shattered teacup and turn it into something worth 3 times what it was before it broke. He spent 6 hours applying gold lacquer to every crack. The breaks are part of the story, not the end of it. We spend energy hiding our failures, our mistakes, our broken pieces. But what if those cracks are where the gold goes? What if your biggest breakthrough is hiding inside your biggest breakdown? The fourth rule hit me hard. Your cracks aren't flaws to hide. They're opportunities to become more valuable than you were before. And if you think that's powerful, the next principle will challenge every comparison you've ever made. The Japanese concept of obaitori teaches that the cherry blossom doesn't compare itself to the rose. Each flower blooms in its own time. I used to compare my chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. Then I saw something in Japan that changed everything. Every spring, millions gather to watch cherry blossoms bloom. They celebrate the cherry blossom for being exactly what it is, exactly when it is. The fifth rule is life-changing. Your only competition is who you were yesterday. Everyone else is running a different race. Now here's where things get interesting. This next principle is about deliberately leaving something on the table when every instinct tells you to take it all. The Japanese have been doing this for centuries, and it's why they live longer than almost anyone else. The Japanese practice something called ararahachi-bu. It means eat until you're 80% full. But this isn't just about food. It's a philosophy about knowing when enough is enough. I watched Japanese people apply this to work, possessions, relationships, everything. The results were stunning. Less burnout, more energy, better decision-making. When you push to 100%, you have nothing left. No reserves, no buffer. The sixth rule challenges our more is better culture. Stop at 80%. Remember the Kaizen principle? Small, sustainable changes beat exhausting, unsustainable pushes every time. But this next one might be the most counterintuitive principle I encountered. The Japanese have perfected the art of ma. It's the space between things, the pause, the silence, and they treat it as just as important as the things themselves. In music, silence between notes creates melody. In conversation, pauses create meaning. I walked into a traditional Japanese home once, maybe 6 pieces of furniture in the entire space. It felt more peaceful, more alive than any cluttered Western home. The space wasn't empty. It was full of possibility. The Western mind sees empty space and wants to fill it. The Japanese mind protects it. The seventh rule requires discipline. Create intentional space between your activities, possessions, and commitments. And if you're getting value from these principles, hit that subscribe button. Most people will watch this, feel inspired for 10 minutes, and go right back to their old patterns. Subscribers are the ones who actually change. They commit to the system. That's the difference between knowing and doing. Now, what if I told you that every time you complain about how hard things are, you're literally draining the energy you need to fix them? The Japanese practice gamen. It means enduring the unbearable with patience and dignity, not complaining, not making a scene, not broadcasting your struggle. When you stop externalizing every difficulty, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power. You stop being a victim and become the master of your response. I watched a businessman lose his company of 20 years. No social media posts, no public venting, just quiet persistence as he rebuilt. 2 years later, he had something bigger. Nobody even knew he'd fallen. Think about that 72-year-old from the beginning. He didn't post about his journey, he just did it. 5 minutes a day. The eighth rule is tough, but transformative. Bear what must be borne with grace. Save your energy for action, not announcement. Now we're getting close to the end, but these last two might be the most important. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi celebrates imperfection. It finds beauty in things that are impermanent, incomplete, and imperfect. A weathered fence, an asymmetrical bowl, they see these as authentic expressions of reality, not flaws. Imperfection. I spent 2 years refusing to launch a product because the design wasn't perfect. Meanwhile, a Japanese competitor launched theirs with obvious imperfections. Theirs succeeded, mine never shipped. The Japanese were creating, building, living while I was paralyzed by perfection. Perfect doesn't exist, but real does. And real, with all its imperfections, is infinitely more valuable than imaginary perfect that never materializes. Real. The ninth rule liberated me from impossible standards. Embrace imperfection as authenticity. Done and imperfect beats perfect and never finished. Authenticity. And finally, the rule that ties everything together and gives all the others meaning. The Japanese live by Ikigai. It's your reason for being. The intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. Most people never find their Ikigai because they're asking the wrong question. They ask, what do I want to do? But the real question is, what am I willing to suffer for? What struggle feels meaningful to me? Every path has difficulty. The question isn't which path is easiest. The question is which path's difficulties are you willing to embrace? I met a 93-year-old sushi chef in Tokyo. His restaurant has a 2-year waiting list. He works 6 days a week. He told me the day he stops working is the day he stops living. He didn't find work that was easy. He found work that made the hard parts meaningful. The 10th rule is the foundation for everything else. Find what gives your life meaning, then structure everything around protecting and pursuing that meaning. Here's what 3 years in Japan taught me. We've been asking the wrong question. The West asks, how can I get more? Japan asks, how can I need less? That single shift from accumulation to refinement changes everything. You don't need to move to Japan, you just need to challenge one assumption. That more is always better, that faster is always smarter. Start with one rule, apply it to one area of your life. Watch what happens when ancient wisdom meets your modern world. And if you want to go even deeper into life optimization, watch the video I'm linking right here. I'll see you in the next one.